Well, I appreciate you guys having me here. As Gene said, my name is Alex Ortiz. I'm a acting lieutenant right now for what we call Central Division, which is the area where you guys live in, and the Foothill Division, which is a lot further south from here. I'll be acting lieutenant for another 2 weeks, maybe 3, and then you will have an act for a permanent lieutenant on day shift. Like my friend here and I were talking about, Lieutenant Prescott is your acting shift lieutenant. And I will make sure that he gets the notes from here today, so that way he's aware of what's going on as well. Real briefly, I don't know if we want to also introduce the rest of the San Jose crew that's here. That way we can do that first, and then we can get introductions on their way.
So we're from BeautifySJ, City of San Jose. We're part of the neighborhood litter program. So we focus on getting residents like you guys to volunteer or making you guys feel empowered. We have many ways of doing that. Just briefly explore them before we dive deeper into it later. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 311 app, not the phone number. It's an app you can download on your phone. It's something completely different. We also try to coordinate litter pickups with our neighborhood associations. It's really simple. I can also explain that to you guys. And if you guys have any kids, another one of our main goals is to empower and educate the youth so that we can prevent them from littering as they grow. So one thing we do is we go out to schools and we'll have a little curriculum for them, presentation, teach them about litter, why it's harmful to our planet, why it's harmful to our communities. And then if the weather permits it, we will follow it up with a litter pickup. Kind of gives them an idea of like, oh wow, we're actually littering at our schools, and kind of eye-opening, and it makes them feel better because they're doing it all together. And kind of sometimes we make a little competition with the amount of trash they collected, just so it makes it more fun for them. But it's also something that we offer in schools.
So we can find more information about it. Do you have a website or something?
Yes. Is it .org?
Yeah.
So it's BeautifySJ.org.
It will be on the RONA website. Also, I just want to let everyone know I am recording the audio only.
And I'll give you guys, if you guys have any questions, I'll give you guys our emails at the end. All the information it's a lot of information, so not all of it's going to be on the website, but we can teach you like where to go on the website, who to ask for certain things. It's really simple once everything's set up.
And with the city council office.
Hi, everybody. Hugo. You guys have probably seen me on Zoom, so it's I see some new faces, you know, and it's nice to be in person again. So I'm Hugo with Councilman Cohen's office, and I'm here to listen and have some information for you guys. You know, I'll get to you afterwards.
Awesome. So I want to go ahead and address some of the questions that Gene had for me throughout the week and during the month. I'll put some statistics here. In like most of San Jose, the biggest that we get in the northern part of San Jose are going to be traffic issues, the unhoused issues, and then our vehicle burglaries or vehicles that are being tampered with. And so those are the biggest concerns that we have for the citizens of northern San Jose have for us that we see collectively. And one of the things that I can tell you that we're doing is we have a foot patrol that's specific for part of the northern part of San Jose. And that is just to deter, that's what the biggest issue with that is to deter crime that happens throughout the day. Some of the vehicle thefts and some of the package thefts that are occurring. And I'll get back to the package theft incident that happened so that we can address that a little better. The other issue that we have is during the night, we have addressed it with the nighttime searching. I have to triage that incident with the package theft and the suspect is gone now maybe at this point, and see how long it takes to get there. So that might be the issue. The issue is time-wise. So what the dispatcher might tell you, it's going to take 45 to an hour to get there, and you're thinking maybe it's going to take 10 minutes to for the officer to get there. But we have to deploy those officers to different areas. So that's one of the biggest criteria or issues that we have, or the disconnect between us and the community that we're trying to fix. We will respond. It's just, it takes us a little longer now because we don't have the staffing to respond to everything, in a timely manner. We have to triage.
So who are we supposed to escalate that call to if we're being told they will respond? You're saying that you respond.
So when you guys call 311 or 911, just tell them that you want to see an officer get there, and they will tell you, okay, cop, you want to actually see an officer, and they will tell you yes, or you will say yes, and then they will tell you, okay, it will take this long, because the criteria is lower now that everyone's safe and it's a property time. They won't tell you, no, don't do it. The other option they will tell you though is, since this is a property theft, the suspect's gone, we don't have no other information, you might want to do it online, because you can do some of those reports online, simply because it saves you time, and honestly, because it saves us the time to look at all the calls where they're having an officer deployed. We're trying to work with technology to help not only you guys, but help us kind of triage some of those calls. So that's why we try to let people understand that, hey, if you're safe, if this is just a package step and we don't have any other information for the suspect, then we can do this online. It's one of the easier ways of documenting the circumstance and getting you to document what's going on. I'm sorry, yes, sir.
So I have a question about division of responsibility. We've been having a problem since December. A lot of townhomes around here have like mass mailbox, where multiple units are in the same mailbox.
Correct.
Multiple times a week, we're having people drive up into our complexes with some sort of master key to the mailbox, opening up the whole thing and stealing all the mail. I didn't hear you say mail theft. We've got videos, we've got license plate numbers, and we're not seeing any action, and we're frustrated. We're not sure if it's a police responsibility or a post office responsibility. Didn't hear you mention it, so is it not a police responsibility if we're having identity theft, tax information theft out of the mailboxes?
Yeah, so I'm going to address that, and thank you for bringing it up. It's a little bit of both. When I say that if somebody's tampering with the mailbox itself, it does become part of the Postal Service. They have investigators and they have detectives that will actually investigate that crime. However, if you have been a victim of fraud or any other crime, and I don't want to associate it to the mail theft, because I wouldn't know. I worked a couple of bureaus of investigation, and one of them was the robbery unit. And so I never actually just take it into forehand that, hey, you were a victim of mail theft 2 months ago, and now you are a victim of fraud. I can't take that into consideration because you're technically a victim of fraud. So I want to investigate that fraud. So you can always file a report with the San Jose Police Department. If we kick it away to the Postal Service, for example, because they have jurisdiction on it more than we do, then we will contact them and let them know, hey, this is going your direction more than our direction. We don't have the jurisdiction to do this. So you need to investigate that, but you can always contact us to do that.
So if we've got the videos, if we've got the license plate numbers, police department's not going to do anything. We have to work through the post office.
If it's just on the mailbox itself, I can tell you that it's not that we're not going to work with it. We're going to work in tandem with the post office, but they're going to take lead on the investigation. It's like if you have two people in the union, right? One of them is going to represent one other from the other. We're going to work together, but it's the same union. Does that make sense? So that's how we are going to address it, because we can't both take leads, right? I can't be investigating one of them and then he says I have another lead. It just conflicts each other. So we have to give up jurisdiction depending on where it is, and that's one of the perfect examples where we're probably going to have to push it to the Postal Service, because they're the ones that take jurisdiction over the mailbox theft itself. Now, if it was individual, like I live in a home, that's my personal address, right? Living in a condominium or in a place like an apartment area where the mailbox are shared and the Postal Service just puts them all in there, that little box becomes the Postal Service jurisdiction.
Okay, so just so you know, like for your own statistics, we're getting hit multiple times a week.
How many times a week?
At least once a week.
Okay. And have you guys been reporting that to the San Jose PD?
No, to the post office.
Okay.
Post office.
So can you do me a favor? I understand. I'm gonna take some notes so that I can give it to
There
you.
are also videos that have been caught from like surveillance cameras. We share them, like, I mean, some of the residents have shared them in the group community chat that we have on Facebook. So how can residents like share those videos with the police or post office
So,
or?
Let me ask you what format or what system are you sharing those with, like Nextdoor or Ring, or what is it that you guys have? Platform,
I don't know, I mean, they shared it on the Facebook, like a chat.
on Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook.
Okay, so we work in tandem with some corporations, like for example, Nextdoor or Ring. They share a lot of their information with us, with if the neighborhood is willing to share that information with us, right? So they'll get a hold of the neighborhood, meaning the people that live there, and say, hey, are you willing to share some of the posts with the police department, so they're aware of what's going on? And then we have access to those notifications. The other thing I know for Nextdoor, for the application neighborhood Nextdoor, they actually share a lot of that information with us. So the bureau department, in our department, they get those notified and saying, hey, this is what's going on in the neighborhoods. But yet, can you guys do me a favor? Yeah, even though it might not be the post office that's gonna take that jurisdiction, we will take that report and then kind of inform them that this is going on in that jurisdiction. That way, I'd rather have the information than not have the information. Does that make sense? Because I don't know how much they're gonna share. And I know that I'm gonna share the information with it. My bureaus are gonna share the information because we want to go ahead and be proactive with what's going on with
So when
them.
we spoke to the post office, they told us this is an active investigation going on and they're not giving us any information.
Right.
So by active investigation, is that like police or is that post office?
So, and I'm gonna use police jargon, which is what I think I'm understanding here with you. If I was the investigator and I'm telling you this is an active investigation, I'm actually currently have leads and I'm following up on information that I'm working on that. So I'm the jurisdiction doing it. That's usually what it works with police jargon. When you say it's an active investigation, you're taking kind of ownership of that investigation, you're working it. So I don't believe it's gonna be in our department, it will be in theirs if they're saying it's an active investigation. Correct. Yeah.
And I think it will be a great help if you submit that report to you and then you contact them, because in that way they will know that, you know, we are here right now. It's a kind of
Correct.
escalation.
And then the other piece of advice that I will give you guys is don't ever delete your videos if you can have access to them, okay? One of the things that happens is our databases upgrade a lot, right? And you guys know with technology, some of those things fail, right? And so I don't want to have one of those things disappear because it failed, and then me calling you guys back and you guys erase it. And that's the crucial part of my investigation. So don't, whenever you release it, just hold on to a copy of it. So in case a detective says, you know what, my system's crashed and I don't have a copy of it, I need a copy from you guys can then be, again, resourceful and give me that info.
So
I have a question.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm patiently.
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
And then we'll go back to you.
I mean, I talk to the post lady every day. And so like today I live in Crescendo and today she said all the mailboxes were open this morning. So she goes back to the post office and she reports it.
Mhm.
And you know, if it's just one box, it's just all these people, she reports it. So she reports it already to the post office, at least. And we had mail all over Brown today that I was picking up, and so
But it is the first.
no, it's ongoing since Thanksgiving.
What time was it? This was in the daytime?
Oh, she comes in the morning between 9 and 10 and overnight.
I can tell you that,
Yeah.
I can tell you that years ago, I'm over in Bellagio, and I can tell you that years ago, we had a problem with mail theft. They actually had the key to the box. So they would just open it up and pull everything out. And they did a huge thing where they changed some of the locks so that they could snatch the key. And they forgot to tell the temporary postal worker, so she had her key snatched. But we had video cameras set up by the postmaster. So what we did is we contacted the postmaster. We didn't just let the post person tell us. So the postmaster should let you know what's going on. And we actually, like I said, we set up like video surveillance. Unfortunately, one of the people who lived in our complex went on the news and told the broadcasters that there was stuff going on. So they took it away. But the postmaster should keep you
And
informed.
the postmaster, we've all
We've
so
all
people
been
on
there.
board.
Have you? Okay.
And they said to go to the your senator, your.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so let me be very specific. I know that we're talking specifically of the mail theft that occurs in the mailbox, but I know that there's probably crime that lingers afterwards, right?
Yes.
So identity theft or fraud, credit card fraud and all this stuff, that stuff you can report it to us and we will try to investigate as much as we can with that, okay? And it doesn't mean that I'm gonna kick it back to the post office management or agency, simply because it happened in our jurisdiction. Now, the one caveat for that is that we do have a lot of rolling groups that take mail, and then they go different areas in different jurisdictions. So then I have to forward that report to that jurisdiction, because the crime they could have used your credit card in Yolo County, for example, right? And so the crime actually happened there, but it was stolen here. So it's one of those things where I have to cross jurisdictions. And I'm getting a little into the weeds of the investigation, but I just want to have you guys understand why sometimes it takes so long for some of these investigations. And if it's a mass complex like this and I have multiple victims, it just doubles the amount of work. I have to look at every person individually. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have an online question here. They said on the mail theft, is there something more we can do to gather evidence to help the investigation? It's happening so frequently, we can almost predict when they'll come. Is there something more we can do to protect ourselves?
Yeah, and you know, that's why I was asking, it is the first, usually it's on the first, 15th and 30th of the month for us. That was the pattern that we used to see, because a lot of checks used to come on the 1st or on the 15th, or a lot of stuff was going out on the 30th. So people were grabbing that, you know, they were stealing mail for that. If you see a pattern, or you see some sort of a trend that's happening within the mail, my biggest advice is for you guys to do what I'm doing right now and just document everything that you guys see, report everything that you can, be safe about it, because I'm telling you right now, folks, the last thing I want you guys to do is confront somebody here and get hurt over the mail. So that information, when it's gathered, you can always get a hold of the Postal Service, or you can get a hold of one of our, and I'll give you a number for the fraud unit for us. That way, in case they're working something already, you have that information. Maybe they can direct you to a better office. Yes, ma'am.
I also wanted to kind of answer the question. There is something called informed delivery that you can sign up. Yeah, you can sign up with the post office and you will get a photograph of every piece of mail that is coming to your box. It's not exactly that day, it'll say coming soon, but you'll know what you are going to expect. So I will be putting all the links that you give me on our site to connect.
And then it's, I push the ball back to you guys, or the ball goes back to your court. It's how proactive you want to be in some of these things. Some people choose not to have their mail delivered here anymore, and they choose to have a PO box, and then you have to go to the post office and get that, just to make yourselves easier and safer, right? Your mail is no longer getting delivered here. When it comes to packages, the same way. You guys have Amazon drops or anything like that. It just makes it harder for people to get your stuff. It just inconveniences. It makes it an inconvenience for you guys to do that. And sometimes it's what I want to do, right? Do I want to inconvenience myself, or do I want to go over there? And again, I hate being blunt, but it's in my nature. I have to be honest. I can't be, or officers can't be here 24/7. So we have to work together, right? I can only investigate the things that I can work on at that time, or my officer. So I just don't want to give you guys false hope and say, hey, we're going to be here all the time when we really are not, right? So that's one of the things that we want to address with you guys.
So if I have a video recording of like a mail theft that happened, how do I report it? Where do I go?
And to tag on to her question, my question was, what's the best process to report?
What's the process to report?
And I'm not taking notes on anything, so I'm wondering if at the conclusion of this meeting, if somebody will have all this stuff where we can get phone numbers and emails or whatever.
It'll be on the RONA site.
Share the video which has the license plate and face of a man who's coming, people coming stealing. Where do we share that?
So are they, let me actually clarify a little bit. Is it coming to the post office box, or is it coming to like a specific residence or area?
It's a post office box. This is the same community that we mentioned.
Okay.
So community.
So it's not a package, per se, it's actually the mail.
So the mail box, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
We've had W-2 stolen. It's a tax season, so like all the tax documents come in
Right.
3 months, and which is why I think they're really targeting this time. I didn't keep it.
I would tell you, the easiest answer for me is you can call the police department and see if that's, and you can report it to us. But I can honestly tell you, if it happened on the mailbox, we're gonna grab the report and we're gonna just call the postal office and say, hey, we have this reports. We need to forward them to you. So I don't know if that might be what you're looking for, but I mean, we will take it as a custodian for the time being, and then we'll forward it over to the post office. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question. This is kind of a sideways approach. All of these areas, they're private. It's private roads once you enter past the River Oaks Parkway. Could they not come forward and say this person is trespassing?
So yes and no.
Okay.
So it becomes private when you enter your resident area.
Yeah,
But
the
if you
roads
have
are
access-
private,
if you
yeah.
have access roads, right?
Mhm.
Like the one that I just drove into. that's-
This is a private road right here.
Yeah, but it isn't because you have access to mails and to mail system.
Okay.
Or packages or people like me. So technically it's not private, right? It's private because in essence, you guys live here and so residents are allowed to come here, but the public also has the right to be here if they want to conduct business or if they want to. So I don't know the difference, right? So I don't know if somebody's going to be here dropping mail or not. You guys have to be really specific on if you guys are going to have gates and you get into the weeds and when it
All right.
comes out. So it's one of those issues where, yes, technically they might be trespassing, but I don't know if they're trespassing at the moment. And honestly, that if we catch somebody stealing mail, it becomes a bigger issue than somebody trespassing.
Okay.
Right?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever gone on Sealy and talked to the homeless people up there? Because we've had them come into our complex, go into the electrical room, which is pretty big, and sleep there. And we've even had to ask somebody to please get off the property. They come into our pool, they cut their hair, they make a really bad mess in the ladies' room and the men's room. So would that, if we call and say we got somebody trespassing, you not really quick.
So. Yes and no, and I say that carefully, and let me tell you, as a supervisor, frontline supervisor right now, as the commander of the area, right? Like I was telling you, if there is no danger to any resident here, I can't prioritize that as an emergency for me to respond to somebody right away, right? However, if my officers are not doing anything, there's nothing working on that at that time, then sure, I'm gonna send somebody to that area to look at that. The second half of your question was that we talk to people to be on house in that area. You know, we do, we have a lot of resources, but the city here has a lot of resources that we utilize to talk to the people there. But again, I want you guys to understand, it's not just the house problem, meaning it's not that they don't have somewhere to stay. There's a lot of other combinations that go along with it, that it takes a lot of time for us to figure out what that issue is. I encourage you for you to call every single time somebody's here that doesn't belong in your area. But again, I'm careful of saying how fast my response for the officers are gonna be, because I don't know what we'd be working that area, or that time. But yes, please call, because that's something that I wanna know, because I can pass that information along to, like I said, my, street crimes, department that's working in, right, that works hand in hand with the county, that provides resources for the house that's in the area.
So what we've done is we've locked the doors and we put a stripe on the door so that they can't put a business card or whatever to open the door. So we're just now doing that. It's been a real big issue. I live across the street also.
Right.
And so it's just kind of curious.
No, and again, the more proactive you guys are, the better it is. Obviously for us, it's not that I don't want to be beating this over the head, but you guys help us out. You guys really do help us out with being proactive. Yes, Shannon.
My child is a minor and has seen a man naked showering in our public shower out at the pool. So is that something that, do we just call and
Yeah.
just wait for maybe they might come? You guys
No, so
might
that's a
come?
different story, because if he's completely naked and there's minors in the area, that can be something that is.
There's children.
Yes, correct. The only, so this is the issue that we have, and I see this all the time when people call the police in regards to that. A lot of people don't want to be a victim or their child's to be victims of that crime, right? So they want to report there's a naked person showering in, for example, the pool in the center here, right? And my child is here and they witnessed the naked person, their naked parts, right? So at that point, that is annoying, or it could be exposure to a child, right? And that's a crime. The problem is that when the dispatcher, or when we get there, there isn't anybody to be there as a victim. Right? You can even be a victim. If they're exposing the genitalia to you as an adult, that is against the law. But we have to have a victim. If not, the only thing that we have is trespassing and maybe indecent exposure to public, depending on if somebody's there to witness it. Right? So you really tie down my hands if you don't stay around and actually become part of the issue. Right? It's hard to imagine that. I don't want my kids to do that, but if you say, I'm taking my kid away from that, but get a hold of me via telephone. If you call me, I'm gonna go down there myself. I don't want my kid there, but I will talk to you. That's totally different. But if somebody says, you know what? I'm not gonna be a victim. I just want him out of here. I don't want that to happen with my kid. Then all I really do have is a trafficking, that's a citation, and put your clothes back on, sir, make sure you go and see if he fits the criteria for something else. But if he's on the house, we really don't have anything else other than giving him or her some sort of resources for him to get better, right?
Are you saying they have to stay there and wait for the police to show up, not knowing how long it's gonna take? Can they not, when they call it in, leave a phone number and you guys can call them?
No, that's
when
what
to show up?
that's what I said.
Oh.
You say, this is my number,
Got it.
I will come back,
Okay.
this is what I'm trying, if you guys do that, then that's different. I'm a parent, right? I don't want my kid to actually stay there and watch this person doing that. But I also want to be responsible, say, hey, I know what I saw, I can tell you who it was. This is the person that did it, and that's the difference, right? But when I just say, I don't want to be part of it, I just want to report it and hang up, then that's when my hands get tied as an officer, right? So I want to be that responsible person who says, yeah, call me. I want to make sure this person maybe doesn't go to jail, but at least gets some sort of, something, right? And then we can go from there.
What is the number we should be calling to report any of this kind of stuff?
You know what,
Jail.
Maybe
Oh,
we can
that's-
have anything.
I will tell you right now, our department, if it's going right now, you can call 911. They're gonna triage it just like what we would do, because it's one of those things where, the dispatchers won't know until they get a hold of you to try to figure out what's going on.
Even mail testing?
Yeah, they'll dispatch it, they'll change it. So, and again, if it's mail theft, and you guys wanna report an officer to come over here, and again, you guys decide how long you're gonna be for an officer to get there, right? It could be 45 minutes to an hour, even longer than that. The supervisor will get a hold of you and say, hey, it's been an hour, my guys are still tied up, I have 5 people here in this district and they're doing something else. It's gonna be another 25 minutes. Are you sure you don't wanna write this on the computer, do it? And that's something you guys are gonna have to do. I do this all the time because I've been here 21 years as a police officer, and I grew up in South San Jose. So I know how things are, right? And my time is valuable, so I don't want to sit there and just be waiting for somebody to get there if I can do things online and then follow up. The thing you guys want to do is, how do you follow up, right? And one of the valuable things that we do in San Jose is we're always going to be able to have the Bureau of Investigations, right? And you can always call them and say, hey, where's my case at? I reported this online, or I reported this with an officer and I don't know where it is. And if the case gets closed sometimes, because there's so many, we don't call everyone saying, hey, your case got closed, it just closes, and might send a letter out to inform you, and it might get lost. But one of the things that we try to do is we're trying to have a computer database that says, hey, these are the cases, these are the people that were involved in it, and we can give you guys updates in that case. So that's what we want to do. It's something, and again, please be proactive. The whole saying, and I'm maybe dating myself, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? That actually helps a lot. If you guys do that, we're gonna send as many information as we can.
And is there a telephone number for this Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, it depends what it is. It depends what crime it is, right? Like I worked robberies and sexual assaults when I was up there. So you wouldn't just call the fraud unit and get expected to talk about a sexual assault crime, if it was something that I was dealing with. But if you call the Bureau department, they will transfer you over. Any department will try to figure out who it is, but I'll give you specifics on what you guys are talking about, like theft. That all falls down into one specific category.
So how do we know what number to call?
I'll give it to her.
Oh,
I'll give it to her,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So you guys have to be a little patient today.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she'll give you the information.
And just to confirm, there's not another number that you would give to her that you would have us call for something that we don't foresee as an immediate emergency.
Right. So I've lived here and I've been here for 21 years, and I would tell you call 911. The reason for that is that dispatchers will tell you, this is not an emergency, hold on, and they'll transfer you to that number that you.
Oh,
Okay, that's what I'm saying, and we're not in other cities where we are being placed on hold for a long time, our actual dispatchers pick up pretty fast, because we're able to process the calls faster, than in other cities, I'm proud to say that. And it's not like you're gonna bog down the system. The other thing is, I'll also bring some other resources you guys can call different, if you don't wanna call, I don't want to bog down the area if it's not an emergency. There are other numbers you can call, and I'll give them to her so that she has them for you. I have my card, and I also has other numbers for that. I'll have my card out so you guys can have that, and I'll give them to her. Yes, Yummy.
So in the beginning, you mentioned that you guys are doing foot patrols. Are you doing foot patrols in these complexes, or is that just in the traditional neighborhoods?
It is in the traditional
Okay.
neighborhoods, and it's in a lot of the plazas that are around here. So I have been working the robbery unit, and I'll probably go back here in a couple of weeks to the robbery unit. And one of the reasons why we're doing the foot patrols is because the plazas here have been victims of break-ins or purse snatches in the past 2 years.
What plaza?
Do you have a plaza shopping center that's right here?
Rivermark, you're talking about like
Yes.
Rivermark?
All
That's
the-
actually a
all the
different
shopping
city.
centers are around here in northern, yeah. So, yeah, so
Everyone
you,
gets smashed in, so.
yeah, so you see it on the news all the time where you know, somebody, some object that somebody wants, and they'll break the window. Or you might be coming out of the shopping center, and you have your purse, especially ladies, with your purse over your shoulder, and somebody comes in and pulls it. That's a robbery, right? And especially if you get hurt. So we were doing a lot of walking beats and patrols for those areas, and then obviously it swallows us up over here. Not necessarily in your complex, and we're not going to be walking around the complex. I'll be honest with you, it's just way too big. But then just what it means is that we have a patrol car, and we get to point A to point B, and this area is the one that we're gonna go around, because we know that some of the bad people that wanna take the purses might come over here just to get their plan together or to stash a car.
So we do have patrol cars patrolling the.
Yeah, we do some,
Daytime,
I can't-
evening?
I can tell you for me, on the daytime, I do see them on the daytime, and
I phoned and requested, and they said they give me 2 weeks to patrol
to patrol, yes.
our area, because I called to complain.
Did you call you probably call my office, because that's.
I called a emergency,
Okay.
but 2700, what do you call it, San Jose,
Yeah.
non-emergency, and I reported to the gal.
Yeah, so one of the things that you guys can do, and again, I'll give you the captain's, and I think you have the captain's email and phone number. So Captain Acosta is the big boss, meaning the boss that takes care of this area here, right? You know, say, hey, we're seeing an uptick on the elephant numbers. They're concerned with it. We can come up with a plan or a strategy to help you guys feel safer. And again, I can't say deter or get rid of all the crime, but it should make you guys feel safer. And I can reallocate resources. So like you said, hey, for the next 4 weeks, I want you guys, when you guys are free of time, when there's no calls pending, head over to the River Park area and just patrol the area if you guys can, right? And then document that. It's one of the things is I'm big on statistics. I want to see numbers. I want to see my officers actually log themselves here. I'm here, and you can see that I actually came and drove around the area, because that actually gives me accountability. And when I come to do these meetings with you guys, I can say, hey, look, my guys came out here and they were here 4 or 5 times on this time within those weeks, right? I can't promise them all the time for you guys, because obviously I have, 250,000 people in this area alone that I have to change their area, that I have to change their areas of responsibility. Yes, ma'am.
Is there an online resource available to us where we can log on to see what types of crime is occurring in our area, the frequency of the crime, the severity of the crime?
Yeah, so you can log on to San Jose, to our San Jose webpage.
Okay.
You might have better information in regards to that, from your council's, member office, but if you, I'm sorry, I'm gonna just do a little bit of a disclaimer here. If you log on into our, website, you can look at the area where you're at by division. and it shows you the statistics, the same statistics that I looked at before when I got here are gonna be there,
Things
right?
like car break-ins,
Correct.
mail theft, will we see like that, or just robberies, house
It
break-ins?
depends on how you break them down, and again, it depends how you report them. But yeah, obviously the big ones you're gonna see there, because we want people to be informed of what's going on in your area.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a question. Does San Jose have a rule, the 72-hour rule that you're supposed to leave your car on the street?
Yes.
Okay, so over on Sealy,
Mhm.
do you not apply that to that 72-hour rule? Because those guys. They've been there forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have
It
dollars
is.
and they have nice trucks and I can see why, you know, they have a mobile home and they don't want to spend $2,000 a month to rent and that sort of thing. But they stay there and the next thing you know, they bring in their wood and their trucks and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Hammer
shells, jump,
you can drive down the
middle of the road and every day you can ride down there. Also, they have dogs that run wild. So are they made to move their vehicle every 7 hours like we have people who own property and pay taxes?
Well, and so it's interesting that you say that. There's a lot of different rules that have to happen with that. And one of the things is if they're declaring themselves a fund house, that is their home. Right? And so that is something that there's certain different rules on that, right? So like you said, they also pay taxes and they do other things that we might not traditionally do, but that's their home. So there's things that we can do. The city does work with them to clean up the area and do all that.
But you know,
I understand your frustration.
That street,
Uh,
that street called Krause Street
Mhm.
is the worst street I have ever seen in my entire life. And some of those people try to come down on Sealy, and thank goodness for Beautify San Jose, they go out there and they clean up the mess. And then, and hopefully you try to control that area, so there aren't any more people living on Sealy than what there is already. So,
Well, that is the issue because what I've seen, I've been here for 23 years. I see the staff information because I see people who are coming, parking there lately. And it's because they know that nothing is happening.
that's correct.
Now, in summer, my concern most is in summer, because a lot of people go to the river area, not in city, it's on the river. A lot of people got trucks there and they leave there, they put their camps and everything. And, they're passing information and so.
Yeah, no, and trust me, I know your frustration. I've been a resident in San Jose since I was, since I got here, when I was a little kid, and I'm 46 years old, right? And so I know the frustration what we're seeing, and I know how it is working with the police department on the things that we can and cannot do. One of the harder things for you guys is having the patience that it's going to take for us to be able to work with that. It took us about 1.5 years, almost 2, to work on a different part of San Jose to get that area clean. And
So you have the Apple property that's over on North First Street with the big mess. And then I guess you're working now on the North Park that so, I understand the cleaning, but also ceiling is also our concern.
so, and you guys you hit the nail on it. One of the things that happens is if we are proactive in one part of the city, people tend to move to another part of the city. So we're just passing on, we're passing on the buck to another neighborhood. Just be patient. It does happen. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of effort.
So do you think District 4, which we live in, is that their responsibility to go out there and talk with them and at least try and get the place cleaned up?
So, yeah,
And find a place for them, but from what I understand, that's what Dave Cohen just said, that's what he's doing, trying to find a place. But it seems like the wheel is turning very slowly.
It It does, and I can have you if you want to address that.
Can I,
Yeah,
ask-
you know,
well, can I ask a quick question? Because you were talking about patrols. So I know that the guy who owns Cadence, he says that he's had break-ins like almost weekly. They had them tapping the water lines. They've had to increase their security. So do you not patrol the area because a business is concerned?
No, we do, but you have
Okay.
to understand that, like I said, we have 250,000 people in the area where you're living. And I come out with 6 or 7 officers a day to patrol
Okay.
that area. I don't have the resources to patrol every single incident that happens in town.
Okay,
So
so when
when-
you say 250,000, you mean everything from Berryessa up? You mean all of North San Jose District 4?
Correct, that's just,
Okay.
I have to break it down to just that specific.
Okay,
Right, and so I'm looking at an overwhelming battle just with my officers alone. So I cannot be, and like I told you guys, I have to be honest, I cannot be, I can't lie to you guys, it's that unfair. I cannot be everywhere at the same time, and I can't expect the officers to respond to calls for service and patrol the areas. So I need the businesses, and I need the complexes, and I need the residents to be my eyes and ears, I really do.
okay,
If you guys, like I said, the first thing that I said, if you guys report it, I know it's hard and I know it's time consuming. But if you report it, it helps me try to bring more resources into this area. It really does. If I don't hear about it, if Gene doesn't put these community meetings together, or if the city council doesn't help us bring community meetings together, then I'm really just gonna know what my 21 years of experience goes along, and I'm gonna try to target what I know. Right, not specific to your area. So I really do encourage these kind of meetings. This is what is gonna help me understand really what it is that this part of the community deals with. Is how many residents are here? I'm gonna say 30,000 people in just this neighborhood alone.
Yeah.
Let's say that, right? Well, that's 30,000 people that I'm gonna be listening to or hearing, because I wasn't hearing them prior, right? I was hearing 250,000, right? So that's the difference, right? Yes, ma'am.
So one more question about the Sealy Avenue. There's a fire hydrant whole section that's totally blocked by. And so I'm concerned about that because we have so many fires. So
Right.
how is that
So,
allowed to happen?
Yes, thank you.
And they're washing their clothes with it.
you know what? And so how is it allowed to happen? Honestly, because we just don't have the time to get out there and take care of it. But now I know I'm gonna have somebody go out there and at least look at it and see the fire department can help us out as well. Beautify San Jose can go out there. We'll work with the city and the resources that I have to do that. And like I said, help me understand what it is that you guys have an issue with, right? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great point, because when it comes to safety, if there was a fire and the fire trucks can't immediately access what they need to access, and in my opinion, they've been there for at least 3 years. Why, you say be patient, but, patient like in 2 generations for me? I mean, what's your definition of patience?
Well, that's, I can say.
Is too long. If they are illegally blocking fire, that's illegal, I believe, you're blocking a fire hydrant.
It's not a
Why-
hydrant, it's that would be.
Yeah, why is nothing being done about that? And then I know the Beautify San Jose people are here, and I know that they said that they were gonna be helping with the Sealy cleanup. Does that extend to the large things that probably would belong to the people parked along that? Because that huge camper shell and all the trash, you have to drive down the center of the street.
Yeah.
And when you're driving down there at 11 o'clock or midnight, and, coming home and you can barely see as it is, and you've got all the stuff you have to avoid, and then we've got a big rig right at the turn, you have to swerve out to miss. Isn't that a public nuisance? How is that fair to anybody driving? So I'm done.
No, I appreciate your frustration. And listen, I listen to what you're saying. However, I don't have a better answer to you than what I'm telling you. I don't. I wish I did. I wish I could tell you that I am in every part of San Jose that has an issue, but I can't.
We were
So
talking.
I'm gonna speak up here, guys. I've been really quiet. It's been really hard. So I work at Cadence. I'm the security director. And since March of 2020, we call the police department. We've got it documented. We call 311. We enter it online. We do not see the support we would like to have. I gotta tell you, I've got 200 people that talk to me and I speak for one. And we're not seeing response, and we have got documented non-moving vehicles. The law says you cannot park without moving for more than 72 hours, not being enforced. We're hoping that from the political side or your side, and we go from agency to agency to agency and get nothing. I can tell you right now, Sergeant Ortiz, 40 calls, I'll get maybe 2 that show up. And I've got a couple of things that I want to talk to you about privately, and these are risk things. These aren't minor thefts, these aren't casual trespassing. These are things that we need a better response. And we're not seeing it. And where you see it in some parts of the city and not other, not okay. And if we've been doing it for, yes, going on 3 years, let me finish, going on 3 years, what we're doing isn't working. We gotta do something different. And what we're doing is not working. And I can have my team list probably 50 to 70 police calls with very minor response. And you're not hearing it. My concern is, I'm speaking for hundreds of 2,000 employees down there on Sealy that try to cross that street every day because they work on one side, we feed them on the other, it causes a problem. You know, it's been 18 years, I've been there 20 years, matching year 21. And right at here, River Oaks and Sealy, there used to not be a stoplight. And an employee was struck there by a car. Within 3 weeks, I had crosswalks, I had a sign up, I had stuff. I had action because somebody got seriously hurt.
What about that murder? Wasn't there murder in one of the buildings?
Yes.
No, we haven't had a murder.
It was right across the street.
Yes.
Right here, it's an ongoing
There was one
investigation.
in your area. It's an
Yeah.
ongoing investigation. It wasn't in my area.
Yeah,
It's
Katie.
just next.
So what's working? The message is, we want to work with you. We try to work with you. We're not doing the media. We're not doing the mayor. We're trying to work with the system. It's not working. It's not working. And it's been 37 months now. 2020. When it started. I give you a photo every week of what's parked there. And we've done that several times. No change.
Lying to you if I'm telling you that it's gonna change overnight. And
I don't
that's,
expect overnight, 37 months.
Yeah, so,
and like I said, tell David. We need to change. This is the second bullet on his objectives. What's happening? We voted again in November. It's 4 months now. What's happening? We want something here.
David was like, or 2 years ago in 20. But it's a bigger problem, like you said, and so you guys are talking about the 72-hour, that doesn't apply if someone lives in the RV. And I know because I've gotten your concerns and I forwarded to, BeautifySJ, homeless concerns, police, and they say, these folks, actually, they have rights. They live in, like you said, it's their home and, yeah. It's actually, and it's not, someone lives,
living is not a problem.
Yeah, well, it's a problem.
Yeah. No, and that's the stuff we try to, so we try to mitigate the problem.
Hey, hang on, you guys.
Yeah.
You're over talking one another and I got people online, so can we just talk one at a time, please?
The big thing I learned today, squeaky wheel gets the grease. I mean, incentivized to tell my 200 people, not, we got our call. Everybody call.
I think you need to.
And let me put it, you can ask for that. And the biggest issue that you guys are gonna see, we are tied with the staffing that we have. Right? Like I tried to tell you guys, I have 6 officers coming out for 250,000 people. So you can call and say, this is what I have. And I would appreciate that. I actually need the information. However, you guys have to help me be patient and realize that I have 6 officers coming out here. right? And so I cannot bring every resources out there. So what we do is we work with the city and we try to get a specific time and date, time frame to work on that and get this cleaned up. But not everything's gonna get cleaned up at once. It isn't, I have to post, let me give you one example so you guys understand. If there's people there that are living there and I have to clean up some of the stuff that's there, I don't know whose stuff belongs there. I have to 72 hours in advance to let them know that I'm gonna do a cleanup,
Okay,
Okay.
right? I don't know what needs to be cleaned up or stuff, and this is the issue, okay? Once I finish cleaning up, what do you think they're gonna do? Because I can't kick them out.
but when they develop that area is gonna get developed into apartments.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in assuming that when that development happens, they'll be forced to move? Is that a wrong assumption? You know her.
And like I said, look, we've moved one place of area that was with a lot of people that are in house congregate, and what happens, they move to another area. So I know what you're saying, I know you guys, it's been a long time, but we have to work with what I have.
When
I
the
can't work with that.
development happens, will they have to?
I don't know, you're
We don't know.
asking me specifics that I have no idea
So
about.
my other question is given what, Hugo was saying, you were saying about the rights that they have because it's their home. Do blocking of the fire hydrants, not being able to walk on a sidewalk because there's so much trash, being forced to improperly, I don't know if it's illegal, but definitely improper, being forced to have to drive down the center of a street, over crossing into the other side when there may be oncoming traffic because there's not enough room for you to drive in your own lane. Is there not something that can be done to at least force them to not block the public sidewalks, not block the streets for driving, not have all that stuff in that area? Is there nothing that can be done about that?
No, we're not saying nothing's gonna get done, I'm saying you guys have to be patient when we don't respond at the time that you guys want to.
So, yeah, so I mean, there's different things you address and some things you address, right? So when we have, say, unhoused folks or anybody, committing property crimes, harassing people, that's a police matter. So when you guys tell me about that, I let, Captain Costa know. And they do act. And again, he's limited staff, so that, depending on the severity of the, the violation, right? So yeah, blocking sidewalks is illegal. I didn't know about the fire hydrant, but that's something that I can refer to traffic control. Because I think it's something where they can say, maybe not move them, to another neighborhood, but move them away from the fire hydrant. The garbage, that's BeautifySJ. So when you guys complain about the garbage accumulating, and come out there and then you guys are.
Including like the camera shells and stuff?
We have an email that you can message, and then it basically acts as like a hub. So wherever your issue relates to, it'll go to any of the different programs we have within BeautifySJ. If I'm correct, I'm actually pretty sure that we recently abated part of that part you're talking about, where you have to go to the road. However, it is that I will email the BeautifySJ you once we're done here. You could also, an unhoused person can have a 12 by 12 space, but if their trash or illegal dumping is either going into like the streets or it's exceeding that space, then that's something you can report where we can come out and clean it up. Then unfortunately, we're not able to, like he was saying, we're not able to fully, kick out an unhoused person. It also, like he was saying, they'll move to another spot.
Do you have to work with the police to do that 72-hour notice? Because things that we may be saying is garbage and trash, they may be saying, this is my property. So how does, like that huge camera shot you mentioned, how does that work? You guys can just move that, or do you have to do a 72-hour thing?
There is a protocol that needs to be followed. It's not like we can just show up and just delete them, or we cannot do that. We don't have the rights to do that. But if you address those concerns that you have, or anything, you're able to submit, or through the 311 app, or send an email to BeautifySJ. They need to create something with the police department to go to the location, they won't be in charge of doing that themselves. But that's not something that we directly work with. We can just provide you the resources and the information, and then you guys can, follow up with them.
Them meeting the police?
No, you submit any concerns that you have regarding that whole street, and we're kind of aware of that because there is a volunteer that requests the litter supplies, and we deliver it to her employment. And she's the one that took us down on that street and mentioned that was not an issue, and then we submitted that through email, and then they addressed it right after.
And we could readdress it too, there's not a limit on, if it gets bad again, all you have to do is report it again, and it'll get to who it needs to get to, and it'll be cleaned up.
What they're trying to say is that it's not that we're not aware of the situation, it's just that there's protocols and stuff that we have to actually go by that have to happen prior to us getting to that point where I'm taking stuff out of the roadway or doing stuff. And those are things that they're trying to say. We are already aware of what you're saying. We already know what you guys are talking about. It's not new to us, but you guys want immediate.
We don't want it.
Yeah.
3 years.
No, I think so, but so the main thing, and I hear this, so you're not coming through it, I mean, the exact same concerns I've heard. Where, there's, and they'll either come into your neighborhood or they're going to another neighborhood.
How does that make work, Because if we force them to move every 72 hours, make their lives a little bit difficult, probably they will do something about it, but right now, they know that nobody's bothering them. That we are complaining, they do whatever, they have people helping them, right? Going clean up their stuff. What, honestly, if I were there, why would bother?
Yeah, we've actually had. Hang on.
No, again, they have rights, and it's a federal court thing that they have rights. And it's not.
Okay, one at a time.
Yeah, it's not a city, the city can pass a law and we can say, okay, 72 hours, these folks living in their vehicles, living in tents, they have rights to exist and we can't penalize, right? Let me ask, you have your hand.
Yeah, I have actually, this is for BeautifySJ. You said that the area that they're allowed to have was 12 feet by 12 feet. Now, does that include anything they want to put in that 12-foot space? Because I think one of the things that you keep hearing them talking about a camper is that there's one person who collects trash, and it's actually in an independent trailer. And then they actually, I think it's the same person, they have actually 2 trailers, and they have one here and another one 20 feet away. And sometimes you'll see them together and they'll park with, they'll have the trailer and then the car parked right up against it, and then the trailer parked so you can tow the. So it's allowed in that 12-foot space. They have jobs, and they're like, no one's going to make us move. Why should we pay rent? They've said that to us. So they'll have their motorhome, and then they'll come with their truck, which is far more than 12 feet. So what is allowed in that 12-foot space? And do they get more than one 12-foot space? I mean, can they have one here and then one 20 feet away? How does that work?
They're on house, so they're allowed to, that's their home. As far as the measurements, we don't work directly in that particular department. The best advice that I can give you is if you have any concerns on whatever relates to homelessness, you can email.
It's less homelessness as much as it is the junk, the trash, and the crime. If they were tidy, if they didn't let their dogs out to bite people and dogs and scare people, which has happened, if they did not just throw their crap. Someone just told me yesterday that they drove by and one of the camper vans had just dumped their wastewater on the ground because it had been raining for 5 days and they didn't want to deal with it. And she saw it on the ground under the camper. So it's these things. If these people were house proud and actually cared about the neighborhood and getting along, I don't think any of us would care. But it's the fact that there's so much trash and they just throw it in the field. Like I said, the dogs running around. and they start like putting up their own little fences across it's not a sidewalk, it's a dirt path that people walk it along from Epic in front of Cadence. They walk down there to the farmer's market. People have been doing it for, 30 plus years. So not farmers market, but the little farm stand. Yeah. So, I mean, this is something where people have said they're afraid to walk over there now.
Yeah.
It's actually affecting the farmer who's selling his goods and the people in the neighborhood who like to get out and walk. So that's the issue. It's not the fact that they're homeless. It's the big footprint they have, because I personally couldn't throw my trash out on the street in my house. I can't like let my dogs run around. I can't suddenly decide I want to put a fence around the sidewalk and nobody can walk. That's the part that's the impact. That's the part we care about.
Plus one to that, so we all get that they're homeless, yeah, they can't.
No, yeah, that's exactly the problem we try to address there. Yeah, and you guys just keep reporting it. I know it's frustrating, right? Because, they'll come out, it's frustrating for me because you guys will report it, I'll let them know, they'll come out. They'll clean it up, I'll drive by, it looks clean. The next thing I know, a couple of weeks later, the problem again.
So we're gonna wrap it up in the next couple of minutes, so any other questions that we haven't already said?
Do you have something, if you have like a presentation or a brochure, you can give it to me. I can put it on the site. I give you this is my mother, Jean Marlowe. So she is a connector. So she will make sure that you get all that information that we can upload for that. But if you have anything you want to say in the next 5 minutes, it's all yours. Sorry. Let them do their 5-minute thing, okay?
So yeah, just very quickly, I'm just gonna go over some other services that we can offer. I don't know if you guys are like do you guys have a problem with litter in this area at all?
On Sealy?
Well, that's not litter, that's not.
No, the issue is that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just something that we do, you can do individual volunteers, you can also do, group volunteers. It's really easy, you just have to email us, or you could sign up online through the BeautifySJ website. What we do is we supply you with a litter stick, bags, gloves, and a vest. You can also do a graffiti kit, so we'll give you, this chemicals called This Stuff Works, goggles, gloves, rags, and basically it's not gonna clean up like huge graffiti things, but like if you ever see graffiti on like a pole or a mailbox, it'll get it right off. And we can teach you how to use it and everything too. All of this is completely free. All you have to do is sign up for an account through our website, and then we can supply you supplies. It's just a matter of communication. I mentioned it earlier too. We have the schools. If there's any schools you guys are like mindful of, or you would want us to go out to, you can suggest them to us. We can go to the school, say, hey, the River Oaks Neighborhood Association references to you guys. They would like if we were able to do a presentation and litter pick up with the school to educate kids. It's also something we do, also free. And then the main one that I think you guys should know about is the 311 app. You can report graffiti, potholes, illegal dumping. You can also it will also help your issue with getting the area around the RVs. It's called San Jose 311. Yeah, there's no limit on how you report things. You can report the same thing every day. And honestly, that helps. We'll keep seeing it, and it goes into a work order system.
Who has the app now?
I'm trying to install it.
I go on my computer, I don't do it on my phone.
Please do it, because I'll be honest with you, I use that when I'm in patrol. I see graffiti, I see illegal dumping. I cut and it goes into their, and they do it.
We get it quick too. Everybody we tell about it, they're always saying like, oh wait, it happened really quick. Even if it's not necessarily right here, if you're walking your dog and there's a cabin on the side of the street, report it. We can pick it up. Also, if you guys have anything you want to get rid of, I know it's expensive to get rid of large items like that. You might not know how. You can also schedule pickups. It's completely free. I believe it's a maximum of 12 items. So just for example, if you want to throw away the sofa, each, I guess, mat on the bottom would count as an individual item, but the pillows would not. Just an example. If you want to get rid of the table, that's one item. had 4 chairs, 5 items in total. It's really
That's per
easy.
month, I believe.
Sorry?
I think it's per month, 12 items per month or something like that.
I think it's per pickup. I'm pretty sure there's. I
Oh,
think there used to be- I
okay.
think there's a limit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
311
San
app,
Jose
yeah,
311.
yeah, 311 app.
Yeah, you can report illegal dumping there too, so if you don't,
Yes.
and illegal dumping is real quick, so if you see something, you know, like people dump a dresser or a bed or whatever, they'll come within 2 days. I've
Look up over at Sealy, you guys, just take a, and it tells you, take a picture, it tells you, it's a little map thing, it's like a golf pin, this is where it is, so that way they know specifically where it's at.
It's whether you guys are the city or a community organization.
Or the city staff. But they work, you guys work with contractors, right, to do a lot of the cleanups and stuff.
So you said potholes too? We could
Potholes
use it
as
to-
well,
okay.
I believe it's also like street light outages. That's not directly us, you could report it on the app.
Oh, how about a missing street sign? We have, our street sign is gone missing.
The sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That too, you can also, actually, you guys in the final comments, I don't think you have the trash bins, but one of those ever went missing or was damaged. It's pretty much anything that, it's a lot of things, it's completely free
Yeah, so
to.
please explore out, I always, when these guys are around, I always push that app in their services. Because they have a response time that's incredible, like Google said, it was one of those things where overnight, it's all, it's gone. So
And
that
it's called
particular-
311.org. What's the app called?
It's only an app, it's an application.
Right.
On your phone, it's called San Jose 311.
Okay, I'm just gonna put it in the chat for the people who are, so it's spelled out San Jose.
Yeah, 311. If you look on the app store, you'll find it.
Yeah, it's there on the Play Store.
Okay.
and it's there on the app.
So you guys, we really appreciate having you come, space, and learn quite a bit, and, Beautify San Jose, thank you very much for coming.